FA fam, what is up? What has
Woo,
happened? We are
woo,
on to week 4.
woo,
Season just flies by every year. It never fails. Um,
woo.
but hopefully everybody's doing well. Hopefully everybody's having a great season. Hopefully everybody's 3-0. Getting ready to go into 4-0 and ready to kill it. But if not,
Still
uh,
time.
I'll have plenty of time. So it's been a really weird start to the season for the most part. Which
Really weird.
I always do feel like we say that every year. We're always like, man, this is so crazy what's happening.
But really, this year does feel particularly wild.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's scoring's down league wide. Um, so that has had a big effect. We've seen kind of a little bit of a reverse of where running backs seem to be a little bit more valuable right now than wide receivers are, and
Bunch of upsets. Like I feel like I don't have a great feel for a lot of these teams in terms of what to really think about them and where they're at. And obviously we're only 3 weeks in, so it's a short sample size to begin with. But normally it feels like the teams we're unsure of, it can be like, oh well, it's because of so and so, or it's because this happened or this hasn't happened yet. There's just so much shit. It just feels like it's like you don't have a great beat on.
yeah. I mean, I mean most places you look around like survivor pools and stuff like that. Like most everybody's out of it just because there's been so many crazy
Just
upsets.
done.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here to answer your questions, get you ready to go for week 4. There's not a lot of injury questions. I mean, I don't think AJ Brown's going to play. Their buys next week. It would make 0 sense for them to really rush him back and have him re-injure anything. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think
Smitty.
I don't think Devonta Smith plays for the same reason. Trey McBride's up in the air right now. We'll see if he's able to make it through. Tomorrow's going to be a big test. Like for a concussion, if he's not out there, I think it's like a limited practice tomorrow. You can pretty much expect him to be cooked. Because they have to get through all 5 of the phases of it. So if he's not able to go, if he's not out there at least a limited practice tomorrow, I would be highly concerned. Um,
Kind of
sounds like
wild. Sorry to cut you off, Austin. We were just on the topic of concussions. Austin Eckler already being ruled out, which is kind of crazy at this point
yeah,
already. I can't remember the last time outside of Tua that we've seen someone get ruled out that quickly.
yeah. So he's out. And then there's some others we'll see on like Joe Mixon. Is he able to make it back this week and stuff like that? So obviously Wednesdays, I'm never really that concerned with injury reports. It's usually Thursdays whenever I start to pay attention to injuries. Kenneth Walker, another one. I think he got a little bit of like a pregame action in last week on Sunday, so maybe it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. But would be surprised with the way Charbonnet's played. That at least, or I should say, at least the way Charbonnet played last week, that maybe they give him another week to get right. But other than that, let's go ahead and get to these questions. We got quite a few questions in here. Don't want to get too far behind, like typical TFA fashion. So, C Crip, hey guys, start Zach Ertz or Conklin full PPR. I have Ingram.
I'm gonna go Ertz here. I feel like he's a little more consistent. I think Conklin probably last week had the best week out of the two of them so far this year, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with Ertz.
Yeah, I would agree. I would go with Ertz as well. Like the matchup too against the Cardinals. So also Secret. Also, should I play Connor over Mixon and Adams at flex full PPR? I'm playing DK, Justin Jefferson, Kamara, and Mason.
Crip also has a message a couple further ones down and says also has Garrett Wilson, but probably benching him against Pat Surtain. So that is also an option here.
Yeah, I would probably go with James Conner.
Yeah, I would go Connor over Mixon.
Yeah, we really like Connor this week. Connor, I think, is a top 10 running back play this week. So I would go James Conner.
Yeah.
Who would have thought in 2024 we'd be asking, would you give a bench Jalen Hurts for Sam Darnold? here we are.
and have it not be like that wild of a question.
It's not wild at all, yeah, with the way Jalen Hurts has played. And now you're potentially looking at Jalen Hurts without AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. So I mean, you're looking at like Jahan Dotson being the number one wide receiver. Penn State great Jahan Dotson, that is. And can I ask a question? What is it with Penn State people? Like, not without getting off track, but I feel like everybody that I know that's in the fantasy space that went like it is either like went to Penn State or a fan of Penn State. Every Penn State player they bring up, Penn State great. Like, there's multiple people that I'm like, why? I don't hear anybody else doing this for other colleges. Only Penn State.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to know these other people.
One that stands out to me because like Adam Levitan, he's after every Penn State. I know he's a big Penn State guy, and like, he always is bringing it up. And I know you do it, and I'm just like, I know I've heard other people. I just can't think off the top of my head, but I just find it funny. It's only Penn State.
It's the only thing that matters, baby.
Yeah. So, anyways, this question.
I don't know if I could do it, Tyler, but I wouldn't blame you if you did it.
I don't necessarily love this matchup as much. I mean, divisional game, those tend to get a little weird on how this play out. I mean, Green Bay's defense has actually been pretty solid. And so I would probably stick with Jalen Hurts, but I don't know. Ask me again in a couple of days. I might have a different answer for you. But I'd probably stick with Hurts just because of his rushing upside.
Yeah.
Jose, 10 teams, half PPR, start sit. Tyler Cook, Gibbs, Ayuk, London, Andrews, Tyreek, bench, Chase. Oh, Chase Brown. I didn't read that part. That's part. I thought it was Jamar Chase there for a second. I'm like, what? Jacob, Zay, T, McLaurin, Laporta. I'm not changing anything.
I don't think so either. I think there's potentially an argument for McLaurin over London, maybe Zay over London, but I think I would keep it as is.
Yeah, I will say this. Mark Andrews is teetering on the edge of being able to drop him.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think I can do it just because how thin the tight end position is.
Correct.
But it's just getting gross out there for him. And I do wonder if some of it is this injury he's still dealing with and working his way back. I mean, I kind of talked about this for a couple times now that like we saw like Tony Pollard really struggle last year, came back from the same exact injury that Mark Andrews is coming back from this year, and the tightrope surgery. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it's just been gross. I mean, he's scored what 0 last week, 9 is his high, and then 3 the week prior. So it's not encouraging. And now they're basically running like a 3 tight end set. They included Charlie Kohler into it, and so like it's really gross right now for Mark Andrews. So I probably am not dropping him, but it makes it really tough to really want to have any confidence in playing him. And then he also has Laporta, who which he may not. I don't know if he plays this week. I mean, it sounds like he avoided the a high ankle sprain. It's like it's a low ankle sprain, so that's positive. But still, it's not great.
Yeah.
I just traded Waddle and Aaron Jones for Jacobs and Ayuk. Thoughts?
I'm cool with it. Yeah, I think with Jordan Love coming back, I think it's going to boost things for Jacobs. Aaron Jones has been crushing, but he's also been finding the end zone, something Jacobs has not been doing. And I'd much rather have Ayuk over Waddle at this point. So,
yeah, I mean, Dolphins need to figure out something. Hopefully, Tyler Huntley can help them because it sounds like Huntley is going to start this week. So, if not, they need to figure something out because who knows how long Tua is going to be out for, and they need to figure. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't called Ryan Tannehill to this point. Maybe they have, and Tannehill doesn't want to come back, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it would have made a lot of sense for them to take a look at Ryan Tannehill, but they have shown no interest in doing so yet. So, but yeah, I don't hate the trade. Jacobs hasn't been great so far, but I think maybe better days are ahead. And then
Yeah.
IU definitely should be bounced back here. So I think IU is a really solid um, buy low candidate.
Yep.
Gerald, Tank Dell, Brian Robinson, or Darnell Mooney, which do you prefer? This is easily Brian Robinson. Also, Tank Dell did not practice today. So, again, we don't really freak out about Wednesday reports, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. But still, it's Brian Robinson for me.
Yep. Same.
Jose, I need to do some space in my bench because I have Chubb on IR. Any trade idea? I would drop Nick Chubb. I'm like I know I've seen some people talk about Nick Chubb this week, and like people are starting to get like excited about him. I'm not excited about Nick Chubb at all. I mean, he's coming off a significant injury, and I don't see a scenario. And this team has become super pass heavy, and this is with Deshaun Watson looking just dreadful. Right, you're right. So far through three games, and they're still out here throwing the ball a ton and not really trying to run the ball. But I don't really. I'm not really that. I would actually just try to trade Nick Chubb if I was going to do anything. Maybe you can get somebody to bite on him, get excited that he's coming back.
I mean, has there even been I did not see this. Has there even been a timeline discussed on Chubb yet?
Yeah, he talked about it. I think it was today or yesterday. Stefanski did, and basically said that he's kind of trending in the right direction. We'll see on if he's able to come back next week or not. But I would guess that he's still probably a few weeks away. But even still, when he comes back, like he's not coming back and like getting 20 touches a game. Like that's just not happening. And so like we talk about it all the time with running backs running backs that come off this injury, and especially one that is as bad as his was. It generally speaking, the first year back, they're not the same player, and it's usually the second year coming back. But Nick Chubb's also 28, so like I just don't get that excited. Like I love Nick Chubb. I've been a Nick Chubb guy since he's been in the league. Like one of my favorite players. Just excellent. I mean, just the way he handles himself, everything about him. He's always been underrated. One of the best running backs in the league, just pure runners. Like, so this isn't like me hating Nick Chubb, but it's just trying to be realistic and saying that you don't need to hold on to Nick Chubb and then you run him out there. And like I know I get people held on to him and drafted him and stuff like that, but I just don't think there's much upside for Nick Chubb. And not to mention the Browns offensive line is absolutely destroyed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out here moving their left guard to right tackle. I mean, Conklin hasn't practiced. Jedrick Wills came back last week, left again. He's hurt. Wyatt Teller is out. I mean, this offensive line is just absolutely decimated, and that's not good for someone like Nick Chubb. So I'm just not that excited about Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Trying to like distance like like you said, just loving the player from the fantasy take, right? So I would try and plug him with the trade. You know what I mean? Maybe attach Chubb to one of the receivers you tried to move. See if you can make an upgrade there. But if not, probably be dropped. Because if you really want him on your team, there's gonna be a ramp up period. Kev, like you were saying, like he's not gonna the first game he's activated, he's not gonna be getting 22 carries in that game.
Yeah, and with this being a 10-team league, I mean, just looking at his roster that he has, I mean, he doesn't have anybody that you can just drop. You can't.
Yeah.
You're not dropping, Josh Jacobs or Zay Flowers or T Higgins or Terry McLaurin. Like none of these guys are droppable. And
Right.
so, like, I get it, and you're actually pretty loaded at wide receiver for the most part. So maybe I don't hate trying to go after and doing something, but I'm not doing it just so I can have Nick Chubb on my bench. Like that's not my goal. But I also think, overall, like you probably could use a little bit more running back depth, but you also still have Josh Jacobs and Chase Brown. I think that's fine. As a team here, and then once the Dolphins figure things out, I mean, you're loaded at wide receiver. You have Ayuk, London, Tyreek, And then the other wide receivers we talked about. So I'm not going out of my way, like I said, to drop one of these guys or move somebody just so I can get him on my roster. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. And then at the bottom, just real quick before we move off of this, Jose also said, "Who could I trade Chubb for?" That one is such a hard, like, you're not doing like a 1-for-1 for Nick Chubb. So the easiest thing to do is to look around your league, see who could potentially use some running back help. Like, there's going to be somebody out there who could, but then you're going to have to put Chubb with one of those receivers in order to like really move the needle. Because like a 1-for-1 for Chubb, unless there's like a Browns fan in your league, it's just going to be something hard to do at this point.
Yeah, I do think that like typical like home league stuff like that, like people still are going to look at Nick Chubb's name and be excited about it because it's Nick Chubb, and I think you probably can flip him, but like it, I guess the question is like for who that you could try to move him for. I think it really depends because I think just looking at your team, you probably need more running back depth and wide receivers because you have so many wide receivers here. So like just looking at some of the like running backs you could, like Kenneth Walker would be a good person to try to target. He's been out. So somebody that's injured. Um, Probably is his value is not as high as it should be. Somebody like Brian Robinson that I do like, I think is a really strong just rest of season play as well. I think he's somebody that you could look at targeting if you're looking for another running back. So, I think that's kind of what I would be looking to do.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest much lower on the list. I was gonna go after like a Rico Dowdle type.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, because like he does have a lot of wide receivers, and so like if you're wanting to do something, like you probably could
Right,
take
right.
like Zay Flowers or a Terry McLaurin who's coming off a really big game, and then packaging him with Nick Chubb to try to get that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
We
not good at fantasy. What?
we didn't
Oh,
answer this
I
question
was on
because
this.
I
I already had
yeah.
it up, and then I just skipped right off of it. Sorry, Jacob. I have Aaron Jones, Waddle, McLaurin. Opponent has ETN, Garrett Wilson, Flowers, Dell. He wants Aaron Jones. Any realistic trade you see where I get ETN and one of his wide receivers for Aaron Jones? One of my wide receivers. Thanks.
I mean, for me, it would probably be like Jones and Waddle for like ETN and Wilson. But Garrett Wilson's upcoming schedule is brutal over the next several weeks. So that's just something to keep in mind with as good as Aaron Jones has been playing. Think you could probably jump up a tier in wide receiver. With the wide receivers you have and Aaron Jones, I think you could reach a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy with Garrett Wilson, where like I feel like if you could buy Garrett Wilson, especially buy him low, I don't hate it as long just with the understanding because like what you said is true because they play Denver, Minnesota, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and then the Patriots are their next 5 games. All really bad matchups, or it's not great. Elite corners there, but once you get past that, it's like the clouds go away, the sun is shining because after that you get Arizona, Indy, by Seattle, Miami, Jackson in the fantasy playoffs is Jacksonville, the Rams sorry ass defense, and then Buffalo, which doesn't scare me all that much, right? Like the Buffalo's not like a defense that I'm like, oh, we've got to avoid that. Really good, they're a good defense. But they're not one that I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to go up against them. So like fantasy playoff schedule is awesome. And the rest of their schedule after that is really good. But yes, the next 5 weeks isn't great. But if you can acquire Garrett Wilson low, I don't mind doing it. But the tough part of this is like if this feels like very like the range of players we have here are kind of similar, right? There's not like a standout option. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like it feels like you're just trading. You feel like you're trading to trade almost, right? That's the way I look at it right now. But if you can get Garrett Wilson, I'd be about that. Like I said, just understand the next 4 or 5 weeks aren't going to be fantastic, but once you get past that, like he could be a league winner in the second half. Rome plus JSN for Ayuk. I'm gonna say no. Like, I don't hate it. It's just this stuff with Keenan Allen is weird. Like the injury that he has, and how long he's been out. But Rome Odunze's actually looks, I mean, pretty solid. Could have had an even better game last week. I think they missed him on a couple throws as well. So he's still gonna be solid. And JSN, like I've said, like all offseason, like I think he's a breakout, wide receiver 2 this year. And he's sort of looked the part. Ayuk definitely going to get better, but I would probably still rather have Rome and JSN. I don't know. That might be crazy in a couple weeks where we look back and say that's stupid, but I don't know. I think I'd rather have those two.
Think this one for me also, like if this is like a 10-team league, I'm doing it.
Yeah, that
12-team
seems fair.
league, or like if you start 3 wide receivers, that would give me a little more hesitancy. I just think Rome and JSN are both going to be like pretty up and down, and I do think the bounce back for Ayuk is coming.
Yeah, 808. What's going on? Need help this week? Need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. So Jordan Mason, James Cook, Carson Steele, Jameer Gibbs, Rico Dowdle, Jameson Williams, Alec Pierce, Rome Odunze, Nico, and Drake London. So let's start with the 2 running backs. That's going to be Jameer Gibbs and Jordan Mason for the 2 running backs. 2 wide receivers is going to be Drake and Nico.
Yep.
And then my flex is going to be
Cook and
probably Jameson Williams.
Yeah. I'd go JMO there.
I don't know, though. Carson Steele, though, is interesting just because of the game script and everything else that game is probably going to provide, because the Chargers do not have a whole lot. And also, the big matter, I mean, I don't know what's going on. Like, even with the new coaching staff, it seems like this team is just never healthy, ever.
Yeah.
Because it's not even just Justin Herbert, who sounds like he may not play this week. There are 2 starting tackles. Don't sound like they're going to play either, with Joe Alt, who left with, I think it was a meniscus or MCL. And then you also had Rashawn Slater leave with an injury. So, like, this team is just absolutely decimated right now with injuries again. Joey Bosa, I think, is banged up. So, like,
Derwin James suspended.
So, like, this could be an excellent game script for Carson Steele to see 20-plus touches. So,
Which in 2024 NFL means that this is going to be like a 17-10 game. And like the Chiefs winning on like a last second play.
yeah.
And almost get upset. Yes, 100%. Just the way things have gone.
Yeah. But I think I would still probably go JMO there. Though I do think Carson Steele is a really interesting option. Mike, Jaden Daniels for Cooper Kupp. No. And I'm totally okay with trading Jaden Daniels when you have Josh Allen. I just don't want to trade for Cooper Kupp. Like, I just don't know what's going to happen with him. And so I prefer to stay away from that if I can.
And with as good as Daniels has played, I think you can do something better there.
Yeah.
And with as bad as some of the quarterback plays for fantasy purposes anyway, there's got to be somebody out there who will be willing to give you a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd go head hunting with him for sure. But yeah, I'm totally on board with trading him. It's just
Yes,
I just don't really want to
100%.
pick up. Generation X, start 1 wide receiver to flex. Amari, DJ Moore, Adams, James Conner, and James Cook. So I'm flexing James Conner. My wide receiver is going to be
Going Amari.
I'm going to go DJ Moore.
I like DJ Moore this week as well.
I would go DJ Moore, but so
they're all pretty they're all like in the same group for me. But I do have Amari at the top. I think I have like Amari at like 14 or 15. I think I have DJ at 17 and Adams at 18, something like that. So they're all relatively close.
Bike walkers, what's up? Start Stroud, Geno, or Darnold. This is CJ Stroud, and I don't have to, especially against Jacksonville.
Yeah, they're gonna come out and just put the fucking boots to them.
And watch the Jaguars will win this game. It's just the way it's gone. But yeah, I would stick with Stroud there on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Alex, some good wide receivers on the waivers like Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Wandale Robinson, Odunze. Who should I pick up for all these? Or should I pick up from all these? Oh, no, Odunze for me. It would be go with Odunze 1, Darnell Mooney 2, and then Jordan Addison 3, Wandale 4. Wandale distant 4.
I would have Addison at 1.
See, I just don't love Jordan Addison. Like, I don't know if like I don't know like with him. Like it's tough. Like because if you depending on what side you land with him, like if you look at his efficiency stuff last year and well, I can't only count this year because he only played in one game. It was really bad. Like so, like I just don't like, and I would probably prefer Odunze to Addison, but I get it. I get the argument, especially with how well this offense is played for the Vikings.
Yeah, it would be Addison, Mooney, Odunze, and then Wandale for me at 4. I just think with the offense that Addison is in, before he left, he had 3 for 35 on 4 targets. I just think we've seen Jalen Naylor score 3 weeks in a row. Like Jordan Addison can hold his own.
Also, it does sound like TJ Hawkinson is nearing a return too. So I did see that today as well. So that's positive. But yeah, for me it would be Odunze, but I get it. And I love Darnell Mooney. I don't know how many times I've talked about him. I've talked about him, but
Going
anyway,
back
everyone don't
4
forget to
years.
like and subscribe. Yes, if you could do that. We are like 28 or something like that away from 6K. So getting
Yeah.
close. So that's the goal to hit 6K before the end of October. So we're right there. So any help would be appreciated. It's absolutely free to do. Just hit a little
Yeah.
like button, a little subscribe. That's all we gotta do. You think Kittle plays? I don't know. I think they are. When is their bye? Oh no, their bye is later. Never mind.
He did get in a limited practice today.
Oh, then yeah, he's playing. Yeah.
Right, which I know we talked about that. Wednesday practices don't matter. The Wednesday practices don't matter for people who miss, right? But if you have someone who was injured, did not play the week before, or whatever it was, and they are practicing on Wednesday, that is a good signal. So I still
Yeah.
think it's a little up in the air, but that's a good sign that he was getting into limited practice today.
Yeah, so like unless he re-aggravates something, yeah, he's 100%. Yeah, I would expect him to play. Or Dez need one running back: Charbonnet, Zamir White, Mostert, or Hubbard. So just assuming
Chuba, baby.
I would go Charbonnet, but that's also with a thought process. Or
I'm not playing Charbonnet in that matchup. Chuba. Get on that Chuba train, baby.
well, I like Chuba. I talked about him yesterday. Like, yeah, I like him a lot. It's a really good matchup against Cincinnati. Yeah, and I don't think Kenneth Walker plays this week. Sounds like he's probably another week away, but the tough part is Charbonnet plays 100% of the snaps and gets all touches. Like there's nobody else, but still, this is a terrible matchup.
Awful.
So for Charbonnet, for Charbonnet, and Charbonnet's
Stone worst.
Yeah, and so like the Detroit has just been absolutely elite against the run. So yeah, I think I agree. I'm gonna go Chuba Hubbard here. I agree with you. And also, he has Zamir White. We can pretty much drop Zamir White, right? Like I don't think that's like hyperbole. Like I actually think that like yes, you can drop Zamir White.
Yeah.
If you need to drop him, like I'm not like actively just going to drop him for anybody, but like if there's somebody out there that's sitting out there, I have no problem with dropping Zamir White. Like he's cooked.
Yeah.
Higgins, Pittman, or Pierce. This is going to be Higgins for me.
Yep.
808, do you think Addison plays? And if so, should I play Addison over any of the other guys mentioned prior?
Sounds like it's going to be no for you no matter what, Kev, because apparently you fucking hate Jordan Addison. No, I do think Addison plays, but I would not play him over Collins or London or any of the running backs or Jameson Williams. I would not.
Yeah, I would either. Conklin, Freiermuth, Parkinson, or Mark Andrews if I can land him off waivers this week.
God. Imagine if I told you at the beginning of the year Mark Andrews was going to be lumped in with this trash heap.
Tough scene.
Tough scene. Indeed. I mean, Andrews, I guess if you can get him off waivers. If not,
I would go Patty Fry.
yeah.
Though I do think an interesting name this week is Elijah Higgins if Trey McBride doesn't play. But Nino kind of in a rough spot for this trade. Any thoughts? Got offered Tyreek for my Godwin. Problem is I'm 1-2 and Reek has 2 bad matchups and a bye, so I don't want to go 1-5 somehow from it. That is tough. It's a 10-man full PPR. What does the rest of your roster look like? Just curious. Because I do think, like I've said, I think Tyler Huntley is good enough to be able to sustain an offense where Skylar Thompson looks completely lost and like he has no business playing NFL quarterback. So I do think that with likely Tyler Huntley playing, like I think he can support him. He actually is decent at the deep ball. His deep ball is not terrible. Obviously, he brings something in the the run, being able to run the ball as well. But I do think that like I don't hate this. I wouldn't like. I think I would take a swing.
I don't think I would. I guess this also depends too. Are you 1-2 and like you just ran a buzzsaws each week, or like does like your team? You know what I mean? I think that would also play a part in how I would answer this. Like if you've just gotten unlucky, it's easier to take that swing. If you're 1-2 because like you're struggling, injuries, just guys that are performing, whatever the case may be, probably keeping Godwin.
Charb plus Rome for Jacobs. It's not necessarily that he's losing touches for Josh Jacobs. It's just kind of what we expected, right? This is just what Matt LaFleur offenses are. Like he doesn't. I mean, I brought up this example a lot, but I just think it paints the picture that when Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans, he was giving Dion Lewis, like we remember how tiny Dion Lewis was, 150 carries whenever they had Derrick Henry in the backfield. Like he was splitting touches with Derrick Henry. And so and that was prime Derrick Henry. We're not talking, now. I mean, so I think this should have been expected. And it's something we talked a lot about. I talked a lot about in the offseason that I wasn't as high on Josh Jacobs. And that Josh Jacobs has always been a workhorse when he was with the Raiders. And this didn't look like that type of situation. And so it should have been expected. Now, I think there's going to be some positive regression coming because he's still seeing a solid workload. It's just he hasn't really played great. Like Emmanuel Wilson looks better than he does so far. But I think eventually this is going to equal itself out. He'll find the end zone. And I think he'll become a little bit better of an option. And I think when you look at this, like it really would depend on what the rest of the roster looked like if I was going to consider it because Charbonnet has once Kenneth Walker comes back, I think Kenneth Walker takes that role right back. Um, and then with Rome, like I said, I really do like Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze could be like a wide receiver 3 rest of the season. But so I just think it really depends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a vacuum, I'm probably taking Jacobs here.
Yeah.
Got a super chat from Nino. Appreciate you. Here is the team. Cav, if you want to go back up and find Nino's
All right. Yeah, I got it. I'm right
original comments. So we got Patty, JT, Cook, JJ, Godwin, Kelsey, Deontay, Bucky Ford, Chase Brown, Jawan Jennings, Pickens, Shaheed, Evan, Ingram.
This been tough. I mean, I guess that kind of makes a little bit of sense with Pat Mahomes. Like he hasn't been fantastic to start the year. Then he has Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill with JT and James Cook.
Yeah. Bench is nice.
Obviously, Kelsey's not been great. Yeah, I think with this team, I think I would do it. But I'm a little bit more like gambler, right? I'm like I don't mind taking a swing.
I think with this team, I would just stay the course. But I get it if you want to take the swing because I think you can. Just seems like you've gotten unlucky through the first 3 weeks. Kelsey not doing anything, Ingram hurt.
Yeah, I think I take the shot. Appreciate the
I
super
get it.
chat as well.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Johnny, trade away McBride for Evans. No.
I don't think I would either. I do like this week for a bounce back for Evans, but McBride has been one of the only top tight ends producing like a top tight end. He's been one of the only tight ends producing just period.
Right, and that's it's kind of the positional scarcity thing, right? And like it just makes him so much more valuable. And so that role that he's in, the offense that he's in, like no, like it would take a lot more than Mike Evans for me to be able to make that move. I don't want any part of trading him if I don't have to. Danzel, London, Cooper, Wilson, Jennings, pick 3, or start Zach Moss to flex. So this is going to be London.
We're going to go London, Cooper, and Moss.
I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. Cooper and London for me.
If I didn't take Moss, it would be Wilson.
Panic on Anthony Richardson. We knew he wouldn't be a great passer, but he's terrific right now, and the rushing upside hasn't shown all that much.
Yeah, I don't think I would panic, but the floor isn't as safe as we thought it would be. But we also have to remember this is a quarterback that had like 12 collegiate starts coming in. So I think it'll balance out.
Hopefully, and it feels like they are. Like, I mean, he did have 8 rushing attempts last week for 24 yards, but and yeah, I mean, he's just been a turnover machine. 6 interceptions so far. Um, I mean, he did have a really good week 1. He put up 27. It's just the last 2 weeks have been really bad. This week, I don't expect it to be any better going against Pittsburgh. To be honest, I just don't have high hopes. I mean, that Pittsburgh defense is an elite defense. Like, they're a top 5, top 3, maybe number 1 defense. So, like, I don't really want to play anybody when they're playing if a team's playing Pittsburgh at this point. But the following week after that is Jacksonville, and then you get Tennessee, then you get Miami. Like, it lightens up a little bit for him. But yeah, I don't want to play him at all this week if I don't have to. But there certainly should be some panic, right? Because it's not a crazy scenario to think that he could be a bust. Just somebody that had very little. I mean, he's barely played, like you mentioned, and so um, I would want to wait it out a little bit longer. But yeah, it is concerning, especially the rushing stuff that we're seeing so far hasn't really been there.
Yeah. You're muted.
Am I still muted?
You're not now.
Well, it wouldn't let me click on it for some reason. That's weird. Now it does. That's weird.
Was wondering what was going on. You weren't doing anything, and then just muted. I was like, what's
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Like, everything just froze up against. I don't know. Andrew, hey fellas, do I start Jaden Reed, Higgins, or Brian Thomas the flex? It's gonna be Jaden Reed for me. I think Jordan Love plays this week, so it's Jaden Reed for me.
Jaden Reed for me as well. I'm not as high on him as you are this week, but I'm higher on him than the other two.
Alex, what's up? Some good wide
I think
receivers on
we
the.
had this
Oh,
one.
we already got this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
One for my wide receiver 1 and 2 and RB 1 and 2 and flex. Yoshi, Alec Pierce, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Juwan Jennings, Wandell Robinson, Brees, Kyron, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Ford, and Naylor.
DJ Moore locked in. Gonna go Juwan Jennings over Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Brees and Kyron.
Yep.
And then assuming Walker doesn't, or regardless, I'm gonna go Jacobs at the flex.
Yeah, I would go Jacobs there. Yeah. I got offered Brandon Ayuk and Jordan Mason for Saquon. Should I accept it? You got offered Brandon Ayuk and Jordan Mason? No. I'm not trading Saquon for anybody.
I don't think I can do it either.
No. And Jordan Mason, I mean, remember, he's got probably 3 or 4, maybe at most, weeks left. And then he becomes back to being a nobody again. When Christian McCaffrey comes back, McCaffrey went over to Germany, got that platelet rich injection,
Yeah.
the Kobe injection, because Kobe got the same thing years ago. So then it's like, then I would look at it, it's like, okay, it's Brandon Ayuk for Saquon, like, and there's no shot I'm doing that. And I mean, Saquon's been an absolute monster, and this year, and,
great.
yeah, and silenced everything that everybody thought this offseason. That was kind of, I did a video on him on the offseason. That was kind of something that I brought up because everybody was making a big deal about he's not going to get rushing touchdowns and all this stuff, which really wasn't true. And that because even last year, like, DeAndre Swift got goal line opportunities. He was like top 10 in goal line carries, like end zone carries. And he just didn't convert on them because he's DeAndre Swift. And then Saquon Barkley. And so, like, a lot of the narratives weren't correct. And so, but Saquon has been a monster. And I really, right now, he looks like he's going to be the easy RB1 this year.
Well, whenever you score from 60 yards out, you don't really need goal line touches either.
Yeah. So. Chef here just traded CMC for Jacobs. I have Manuel Wilson was able to get Mason. I honestly don't want to deal with the CMC uncertainty, and I'm 1-2.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
there's obviously the outcome that where like the injection doesn't work, right?
Oh yeah, it's certainly possible. Um, the flip side of that is when he comes back, you're kicking yourself because he's back to putting up 20 plus, 25 plus, 30 plus performances. Um, so it's a tough situation, right? Because you just don't. I mean, obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know like what's exactly going to happen with Christian McCaffrey. Would I have made that trade? No. Um, just because, like, if I'm going to trade Christian McCaffrey, like, I would have wanted something better than Josh Jacobs because I don't know. Like I said, and maybe I'm not the person to ask just because I'm not as high on Josh Jacobs. I don't think the situation gets drastically better for Josh Jacobs. I think he can, put up better fantasy production than what he has. But I think it's like 10.8 PPR points per game, which is not great at all. But at the same time, he just worries me, and the way this offense is going to function. So I just say like he probably could have got more for Christian McCaffrey. Oh, we already answered that. Brooks stock going way up thanks to Dalton. Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, if you can buy low on Jonathan Brooks right now, I would do that.
I 100% agree. William, every time.
Just
Every,
William.
yeah. Am I starting AR or what? Got Gino. I would not start Anthony Richardson this week, and I'm sure Anthony Richardson will go out and drop 30, but I would not play Anthony Richardson if I don't have to. And I would play Gino over him. Yes.
Yeah, I think I would for this week as well.
Jackie. Would you trade Neighbors and Devonta Smith for CeeDee Lamb and Bowers? That's tough. It shouldn't be, right? Like normally you'd be like, oh, it's easy. Like you're getting CeeDee Lamb, the number one wide receiver overall last year. But Malik Neighbors is the number one wide receiver overall right now.
Yeah.
Who do you have at tight end? That's what I would want to know too.
Yeah. That's
like,
what I was just about to.
We talked about Trey McBride, but Brock Bowers right now has easily been the number 2 tight end right now.
So it looks like Jackie's potentially still rocking with us. What tight end do you have? And then I just scroll to the bottom and I'm seeing this one as well. So it looks like Ingram is the at least the original tight end one. Obviously had to find something else. So Patty Fry and Ingram. Other receivers are Rice and Drake.
I think I make that trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do it.
Man, that's tough, but I think I would as well.
Ronnie, hello everyone. Should I start Daniel Jones tomorrow or Levis start or wait or Love and Superflex? Hurt his matter. I feel pretty solid that Jordan Love's going to play this week.
Yeah, I mean, if your fallback option is Jalen Hurts, like there's worse fallback options. Even though like this week isn't going to be probably like a ceiling game for him.
Daniel Jones is low key not been bad this year.
I saw somebody post, I can't remember who it was, but somebody put on Twitter, I'm nervous that Malik Neighbors is so good that it keeps Daniel Jones around.
Yeah, because if you look, I mean, he finished as the what? He was 18.3 and 19.4 the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, he hasn't been bad. Simp, Fields or Gino? I'm gonna go Gino.
I'm going to go Gino.
Braylon Allen or Cam Akers if Mixon is out. If Mixon is out, I'm going Akers.
If Mixon and Pierce are out, I'm going Akers.
Yeah, I would probably go Akers as long as Mixon is out. If Mixon, but it does sound like maybe Mixon will play. So then then they would 100% be Braylon Allen.
Yeah. Tomb.
I need to start two. St. Brown, Neighbors, Godwin, and in running back, I need three: Jameson Williams, Kyron, Hubbard, Walker, Mostert, DJ Moore. I need. Guessing that's two wide receivers and a flex, or two running backs and a flex.
That's what I was thinking as well.
So it's. I mean, I'm on Neighbors. We don't even have conversation, and then a running back, it's definitely Kyron, Jordan Mason for sure. There between those two, and then I'm just flexing Godwin.
Yeah.
Over on Twitch, Jonathan Taylor and TJ Hawkinson for AJ Brown. Who wins? I would say AJ Brown side.
Yeah.
Guessing that's the same one. Emerald, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yes, I would say it's the AJ Brown side. Ronaldo, KC, Houston, or Tennessee defense. This is going to be KC, and it's not close.
KC.
And 10 mana traded away Devonta Pickens and B Rob for Nico McBride and Brian Thomas. Did I pull the trigger too fast or a good move? You hit a home run.
Yeah. Crush.
Who should I drop? Akers or Addison to get a kicker? Thanks.
Akers for me.
Yeah, I would agree here. I might be a little bit of a Jordan Addison hater, but I'm not dropping the guy. He's still going to be the number 2 wide receiver for him. And Cam Akers has very little upside past that. Rob the Beast over on Twitch. Should I be trading for James Conner, Brees Hall, Pittman, Worthy, and Amari Cooper? And I'm trading DJ Moore, Godwin, Gibbs, and Bucky. I have Jay Jettas, Nico, Rashee Rice, my wide receivers, and then Javonte Williams, Brown, and Brooks.
So Connor, Brees, Pittman, Worthy, Cooper for Moore, Godwin, Gibbs, and Bucky. Rob, I'm curious what you would have left at wide receiver. Because in a vacuum, I want the Connor and Brees side. But I think it's easier.
Well, he looks like he would have Justin Jefferson and Nico, right? And Rashee Rice.
I think Rob already has those. So then that would, oh wait, never mind. Yep, I'm an idiot. Yes, I would do that then. If you have those left over as your wide receivers, yes.
Yeah, and then you're getting Connor and Brees Hall.
Yes. Sorry, I'm dumb.
You're not dumb. Okay.
Stupid.
The Smitty Would you trade London and Ramondre for Bijan, Pittman, and Bucky? Yes.
I think I would too. But man, that would have been a slam dunk week 1 before this all started. But Pittman has been unplayable.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Anthony Richardson. Don't they have Joe Flacco too?
Yeah, I think you're right, which is just one of the most odd. Like you want to talk about like two different, two completely different players.
You do wonder if they were to get to a point where if they continue to lose and they continue to struggle, uh, would they look to move? And I doubt it, but like I think it could be possible. The worst thing that could happen if Anthony Richardson got knocked out for a game or two, and then Joe Flacco comes back in and just looks like Joe Flacco last year, then you have in real
My
trouble to
God.
figure out what to do. I would love it for my Michael Pittman shares, but
Yes.
uh, but I don't know if they would love that. So Kanoa, Aloha, PPR sit 1, Chuba, Rashad White, Akers, Ford. Also is Jaleel a drop? Yeah, I think you can drop Jaleel McLaughlin.
Could drop him. If I need to sit one, I mean, obviously, if Mixon comes back, it's Akers. But if not, I am sitting Rashad White.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yes, Detroit number 1 against the run. Wyatt
Yep.
trade Christian Kirk plus Pittman for Jordan Addison. No.
Don't think I would either.
Lemmy. What do you think of Tony Pollard this season? I think outside of last week, Tony Pollard has looked really good. He's back to being kind of the guy he was pre-injury so far this year. Um, obviously, last week didn't really work out very well. That matchup where they just got the doors blown off them by the Packers. And I really think that Brian Callahan might end up punching Will Levis in the face before too long. Because have you heard some of the stuff he said?
I've heard like a clip or two. Yeah.
Like he just not. He sounds like he just wants to fire him off into the sun. Like he's so done with him. But yeah, I think Tony Pollard is a really solid RB2. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, at least now too, if you think that they are going to get blown out like that, that Tyjae Spears is the play and not Tony Pollard. Because Spears hadn't really been involved through the first 2 weeks. And then we saw him running more routes and being more involved when that game script got out of hand.
Yeah. Should I drop Lad McConkey for Christian Watson? Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Who were your hits and miss last week? Transparency question.
Oh God. It gets so
Definitely.
jumbled together. Pollard was a miss.
Yeah,
I
that's
loved
for sure.
I loved Pollard last week. Jennings was so like I don't want to like try to well, I knew Jennings was gonna go out and get $150 and 2. But he was somebody I liked, especially once Kittle was out. Man.
That's what I was saying. I wish I could look at my. Well, no, I can't look at that either. We've updated everything. As I said, I wish I could look at my rankings from last week, to be able to, and the where our rankings house. I could if I had. They haven't put out their fantasy pros. Where they're. I was looking at it just a little bit ago. They haven't put out. People don't know on fantasy pros that everybody that does the ECR rankings. They put out an accuracy results after each week. Usually comes out Wednesday or Thursday, and tells you exactly who your hits and who your misses were. That's what I was going to look at, and it still hasn't come out yet. So that's what I was trying to find.
I mean, last week I was also lower on Rashad White. I was lower on Akers. Oh, Shakir. Shakir was a hit. He was somebody that I talked about in our wide receiver ranking show.
I think Jordan Mason was a miss. I will say that one too. He didn't really come through the way. I think we had him as like a top 3 running back. He definitely didn't finish there for sure. But something else I figured out, like off subject. Like I used to have like an excellent memory. Like I would just like can remember everything, and that is not the same anymore.
Oh, gee, fucking Christ!
What happened? Did your cat knock everything over?
Yeah, I don't even know where my headphones just went. Literally ripped the headphones out of my ear, and now they're gone. My God.
The rage that I would have, like right now, if I was in your position.
If we weren't live, there would be a cat on my wall. Is this like echoing bad or anything?
No.
Okay. If it starts to echo or something sounds off, let me know and I'll go. I think she's chewing the headphones right now, but
yeah, I was just saying that my memory just hasn't been as good. I have to write everything down now. I feel like I need some New Balances or something, some old dad runners and everything, because like I'm just cooked, I guess. Like I forget stuff all the time now, and I don't know why. So ask us again on Sunday, then our actually stuff will be out, and then I can tell you exactly who hit the hits and misses were. But I do think that's fair. I do like that question. Transparency is good, and being able to talk about what you got right and what you got wrong is definitely something you should be doing if you're doing this. So, Ray, though, would you start Cowboys defense versus Giants, Saints defense versus Falcons, or Vikings defense versus Packers? Also, which wide receiver 2 should I start? And a standard: Ayuk, Jennings, Waddle, Pittman, Deontay Johnson. I'm gonna go with the Saints defense here.
I'm gonna go Vikings and Ayuk.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that Love comes back this week, and if he does, I just don't love it as much. And then I would go IU, but yeah. And then just to mention the Falcons. I kind of talked about this on uh, the streaming options video I did this week with the Saints. That was one of my options that I really like this week. The Falcons are going to be missing multiple pieces along that offensive line due to injuries. They lost 2 more this week, and Kirk Cousins is top 10 in sacks allowed and pressure rate, and so and the Saints have been phenomenal so far. They haven't allowed a defense, or excuse me, they've allowed an offense through 3 weeks to even get over 20 points. So this defense has played really well so far.
Nino, again, appreciate you doing that. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate all you for rocking with us. Another way to show your support, if you can't drop a super chat, hit that sub and that like. Really helps us out. Ray just traded away Mason, received Cup, needed a solid wide receiver 2, already have great RBs. Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it with the Mason trade earlier, where he was included as a piece for Barkley. Hopefully, assuming CMC comes back at some point, and even if he isn't 25 touch CMC, it's still going to crush Jordan Mason's value. So, a little bit of risk reward on both sides. Kev, you were talking about, not being necessarily excited to go out and get somebody like Cooper Kupp. I am not either. Think you potentially could have gotten higher for Jordan Mason, But if he comes back and he's healthy, you crushed.
Yeah, that one I don't hate. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily hate that. Like, I get it, but yes, it does very much depend on CMC though.
Last fish, our favorite question of the week. Week 3 was pure garbage. Both Cincy and Tampa lost. Now I'm in a new poll, starts week 4, have 2 entries. The slate is clean, just can't choose a Thursday game. Thinking looks like San Fran, Houston, and Jets. Thoughts? Survivor polls this year have just been. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. Just 3 weeks in a row. The big favorites losing. Let's see.
Who just saying? Let me see. Oh, the Patriots. Yeah, I think I would go San Francisco though. Yeah, uh, I don't want to say it's obvious, but I guess. But yeah, I think I would go San Francisco. That or the Chiefs.
I like Houston. Trying to see. Yeah, I like Houston and San Fran. Jay Slay, what's up, guys? Who'd you rather start, Baker or Fields? Jeez.
I would probably go Justin Fields.
Think I'm with you. I do like the spot for Baker though. I'm probably going Fields. AD, you had to sit one of these guys who just said Jones, B. Rob, Connor, or Singletary. I think we are both going to be on board with sitting Devin Singletary in this one. Chandler, someone in my league dropped White for Bucky, 12-man PPR. I have the number 1 waiver claim. Is it worth using it on him or save it in a PPR? I would not pick up Rachaad White with that number 1 claim. I think Bucky is slowly but surely, at the very least, taking over the rushing down work. I think we're going to see him slide into that role, and this is going to become a bit of a headache here. And then if they feel more comfortable with Bucky in pass pro, because what's his name? The head coach, his name is escaping me right now. He was asked directly
Todd
about
Bowles.
that, why White was just running so many more routes than Bucky, and he straight up said that it was like a pass pro thing. Like they feel better about Rachaad White and pass pro. So if Bucky can start chipping away at that, Rachaad White's value is going to absolutely plummet. So I would save that number 1 claim.
Yeah, I probably agree. I don't know. It's tough. 'Cause there's not a lot to get excited about with Shad White. I will say Todd Bowles also gave like a really weird answer when it came to that because he also said that like basically they basically blocked really well for Bucky Irving on his runs, but they didn't block well for Rashad White on his runs. I'm like, oh, okay, that's all it was. All right, that's it. It couldn't possibly be the fact that Rashad White, it just as a runner, has been terrible the last 3 years he's been in the league. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with that. It's just they're not blocking
No.
whenever it's for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mike, which running back wide receivers do you think I could get for Pittman and Waddle?
not a lot. It's just tough right now because I mean you have Michael Pittman who's just been absolute cheeks so far this through 3 weeks, and so he has like very little value. Then you have Waddle, and then you don't have Tua, and so that also really hurts as well. So like you're trying to trade two guys that just have very little value right now, and so I just don't think there's a lot you can get for him. I mean, do I
Yeah.
think Michael Pittman's going to be like this all year? No. Like I think things will start to the positive regression will come his way. It's just right now, there's not a lot you're gonna be able to get for him. You're gonna be trading well below market.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one here from Kanoa, Ridley, or Jacoby in a PPR.
I would go Calvin Ridley.
Ridley for me as well. We answered that one already. Tomb saw Dr. Save CMC got the shot this week. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal if the shot works and has a high chance for re-injury also. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no guarantee that like he goes and gets this, he comes back and he's the CMC that we're used to. Um, so certainly some risk there, but if it works, it's gonna really work. You know what I mean? Oh, we already had this one. BTJ or Tank if he plays. If he plays, I'm going Tank.
I would go Brian Thomas.
Jackie, I'm definitely on a Danny Dimes train, but Rasheed over Neighbors, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Guy will rock with us. What's up, guys? Any defense? I have Green Bay available on the wire, Miami, Tennessee, Chicago.
Miami. Will Levis has been a certified train wreck. Like just like he's been sacked
Yeah.
like 16 times, I think it is, or something like that. He's also turned the ball over 8 or 9 times already. Like he's been really bad.
I would probably go Tennessee, but I get it. And should I drop Jay Williams? I'm assuming that's Javante. He's someone else who could be dropped as well. Like if you really had to, I don't think he's someone you have to hold on to.
Yeah, and like in my not that anybody cares, but in my home league this week, I actually went and picked up two players, and I picked up Roshan Johnson, who I just think there's a shot that he, and I know they said this week as well that they want to see him in an expanded role. It's actually a good matchup for them this week for Chicago, and so I think Roshan could end up being the starting running back. So I went and picked him up, and then I also picked up Tyler Beatty just because I just want to see what's going to happen here. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to see a path, right? He looks like the best running back so far, and it's not just this week; it's also the week prior. But these Denver running backs have been absolutely abysmal. I mean, Javante and um, Jaleel have just been awful, and Tyler Beatty's the only one that showed any signs of life.
Those two are like the most on-brand pickups I've ever heard from.
Well, they're more just
No,
speculative as
it
you
makes
know,
sense.
right? I
Right.
mean, so yeah.
If I were in that league and I saw you pick those two up, I'd be like, that's Kev.
Yeah.
That's Kev. Mr. Yang, should I start Ferguson tomorrow or Laporta on Monday? I would go Ferguson here.
Yeah, easily.
And
Even
just
if Laporta was possibly looking like he was gonna play, I would still go with Ferguson.
Cosmic. Should I do a straight full PPR and get Nico? He gets Evans and Jordan Mason.
Current running
I
backs
would
are Achan, Jordan Mason, Chubb, and Walker.
I would see if you could get like something small back.
Yeah, because that does feel a little bit heavy. I know Mike Evans is coming off a down week, but just the way Jordan Mason's played and everything else, like I mean Nico Collins is a stud. I mean, top 10 wide receiver. So I necessarily don't hate it, but I do think that I would try to get something back, and that something would probably I would want it to be a running back, like a
Like
bench running back.
yeah, even if it was like a Bucky or someone we just talked about, like a handcuff type guy.
Braylon
Because
Allen.
after that, I mean, you're looking at Chubb, who we already spent some time on, Walker, who's already banged up and like tends to get banged up a bunch. So that would make you super thin at running back. Would you start either Gino or Dalton over AR just this week?
I would start Gino, yeah.
I would start Gino as well. KT, Ertz, Gasecki, Conklin.
Zach Ertz.
Ertz for me as well. Gasecki, it kind of went down to like a 2 tight end rotation in terms of who was getting the routes between him and Eric All, but it's still a rotation there. So I would like if this were like similar situations, I would lean Gasecki, but it's not, so I'm going Ertz. Big ZD, likely with McBride likely out, or should I pick up Gasecki?
I would go likely. I feel like this is kind of like the Chiefs game. Whenever the first start of the year, where we saw much more Isaiah Likely. This feels a little bit more like that, where it could be that type of situation.
Yeah, because I also wouldn't want to probably don't want to drop Likely, and I don't want to carry 3 tight ends, even if it's just for a week. So I'd probably just stick it out with Likely. Tommy, would you trade DJ Moore for Bucky Brooks and Dell?
Tommy, who else do you have? Like, what does your rest of your roster look like? That'd be something I'd want to know. 'Cause I actually don't hate it, but
In a vacuum, I probably would. But I'm also a big Bucky guy, so gotta take that with a grain of salt. Kanoa, Cowboys or Texans D?
Texans.
Texans for me as well. I threw Grandpa Chip's war medals over the bridge. Chubbard, London, or Reed in a half PPR.
It's Jade Reed for me.
I'm gonna go Chuba, but Jaden Reed would be 2. I just feel like in this matchup and with the workload that he's likely to see, it's just kind of hard to pass up. Maybe I'm overrating and chasing a little bit based off of what we saw last week, but I'm going to take the volume there. Anime. What's up, guys? Hope the Thursday night is going good. Hope it's going good for you as well. Anime junkie. Is Travis Kelsey cooked? Like burnt toast cooked?
No. I mean, some of the things that's happening is this that She Rice is running the routes that Travis Kelsey,
Yeah.
does. And taking away those looks. But I think eventually you're going to see a shift where the teams start to try to focus more on Rasheed Rice. Because right now you still see teams, double and tripling Travis Kelsey to try to take him away. And I think eventually this is going to work itself out. So no, I don't think that he's cooked, but he still is 35 years old, and I their goal is to get him through to the playoffs healthy, and so that's a little bit frustrating. But no, I don't think he's cooked at all.
Yeah. AP, what's up? Start one. Keenan, Ridley, Lockett, Dobbs, or should I pick up Jacoby Myers, Coleman, or Michael Wilson for one of these guys?
I don't know if Keenan Allen plays this week, honestly. So I would probably go. I'd probably actually go with Jordan Love coming back. I think I would actually go Romeo Dobbs because as much as everybody hates it, but Romeo Dobbs is still playing pretty much 100% of the snaps and running 100% of the routes. And so with Jordan Love back, it's obviously just a big boost to the passing game. And so I think I would go Romeo Dobbs as long as Jordan Love does playing.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Courtesy, you need a flex option, Wandale or Dunze. It's gonna be a Dunze for me.
As long as Keenan is out, yes.
Trade Kyler and Ayuk for Jefferson and Cousins in Superflex. Then I could flip Cousins and Zay for Richardson and Deontay.
So Kyler Ayuk, Jefferson Cousins, and then flip Cousins and Zay for Richardson and Deontay. I think if that's the plan, I think I'd rather just keep Kyler and Ayuk.
It's kind of where I'm at. Like it's definitely tough because we're talking about Justin Jefferson, and
Right.
so. But I just think the drop from Kyler to Cousins is pretty significant. Even if you were going to flip Cousins, but Anthony Richardson right now is really tough to buy into at this point. And so like I think I would rather just hold Kyler, and I think when Ayuk is finally healthy and and not healthy but fully, uh, you know, after missing all this time, I think eventually he's going to start, picking things up, and he's going to start being, top 12 wide receiver again, like kind of like he was last year. And so I think I would actually just rather hold. I think I agree. I don't think I would make that trade. Best options to flex PPR: Demarcus Robinson, Tutu, Wandale, or Michael Wilson.
I would go if you need to swing, I'm going Michael Wilson. If you just need like safe points, I would go Wandale. So that one to me is kind of like matchup based. Do like Michael Wilson this week.
Assuming it's okay, not assuming. He did say it's PPR, so I don't need to assume anything. I think I would go Wandale.
Yeah. Cool with that. I like one Dallas week as well.
Any two mustache, Manuel Wilson, Tracy, Beatty, Foreman, Ford owner. It's gonna be Manuel Wilson and Tyler Beatty for me.
Wilson and Tracy for me.
You just hate Tyler Beatty. And it's not a bias for me just because he played at the University of Missouri. Okay, has nothing to do with that.
You were talking about Beatty when we were talking about rookies. Love yourself some Rashawn Johnson too.
I do, but really what it comes down to mostly for me is just the path for touches is there for like to be the starting running back for the team. And so um that's that's why I would want to invest in someone like Tyler Beatty just to see how this plays out. Now it could end up being just a 3-way committee all year and it's gross and none of them really stand out. And then in that case you just drop Tyler Beatty, but I think there's a chance here that he could take over. Especially with how bad these running backs have been. Anyway, who'd you rather roster? Najee, J.K. Dobbins, or Braylon Allen and Damian Pierce? I mean, rather roster, it'd be easily Najee and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
Bullseye. Should I trade for a running back or tight end or stay put? Dave Montgomery, Najee, Justin Jefferson, Malik, Isaiah Likely, Rashee Rice, Alexander Madison, Carson Steele, Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas, Conklin, and Puka Nacua. I will say this: you're loaded at wide receiver. I mean, Jefferson, Neighbors, Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison. Imagine what could have been if Puka didn't get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, in a vacuum, like I think I'd want to go after a tight end, but I don't know. There's no tight end I would want to trade for to break up those receivers. So it's probably a running back then. I mean, I feel like if you add like a surefire RB1 to that group, that's a really dangerous team.
Yeah. I'd also want to know how many you can start, right? Like, is it 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex? Is it 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex? Is it multiple flexes? Like, I would want to know that too, on kind of how many you can start here. Because if it's like 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex, then I think it makes it a lot easier to you could trade one of these wide receivers because you really can't play all these guys. Now, if it's like you can play Jefferson, Neighbors, Rice, and Harrison every single week, then I probably am not making that move. And just trying to work the waiver wire with some of these guys, dropping my second tight end. I get it with Likely, he's not really a starter right now, but or at least somebody that you feel comfortable playing every week, I guess, put it that way. But I mean, I think there's going to be some tight ends that kind of shake loose here as the season goes by, and I think there's players that we can easily stream, and stuff like that. So, honestly, right now, one of those players could end up being, in the next couple of weeks, like an Eric All. Like Eric All is getting more and more routes and running with them, and this is obviously a rookie tight end. Ben Sinnott at some point could be one of those guys as well if Zach Ertz ever gets out of the way, because Zach Ertz does. But so yeah, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, flex. Yeah, that's why I would almost rather, because I guess it makes it easier then at that point to be able to flip a trade because you can't play all those players every single week. So like you're making decisions on that. So it gives you a little bit easier flexibility. And then you also are gonna have Puka come back at some point as well, whenever he finally comes back. So like I think you would probably take like Marvin Harrison, I guess, because I don't want to trade Rasheed Rice. I don't want to trade Neighbors. I don't want to trade Jefferson. But I mean, obviously, Marvin Harrison's right there with those guys, at least of the last couple of weeks. But I think taking one of them and flipping them, and I think you could get a pretty good haul for a running back. Because I agree, you're really thin at running back. One thing happens, you are going to be in really big trouble.
Yeah. Big ZD, thanks for the input. Definitely subscribing. Appreciate you, Bake ZD. Going through with the classic dish. AP, Lamar, Kyron, K9, JJ, Ridley, Jacobs, Kittle's my starters. Bench, Javonte, Dobbs, Lockett, Keenan, Ty, Chandler, Goddard. Thoughts on the team? Full PPR. Any advice? Thanks.
I mean, it's obviously a really solid team.
What I would want to do here is as soon as Kittle is healthy, I'd want to flip one of those tight ends and go get like a better wide receiver too. Like we've been talking about, tight end is just a fucking wasteland this year. Like we always talk about how like it's bad, but like this year there's nobody that's performing. So there has to be somebody in your league that could use one of those guys. So I would probably take Goddard. Maybe you have to pair him with like a Lockett or something like that, a Ridley, and then try and go get a better wide receiver too. But like that to me is like the only thing like really stands out.
Yeah, I think that's the way I lean. I don't really love the bench. Like, there's not a lot of like upside here in terms of just like that's. I try to just load my team with just players that I think they could have some upside, and just cycle through players that as things happen and things change. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably what I would try to do is flip uh, Goddard for something or Kittle for that matter.
Anime JSN or AJ Brown the flex. I think this decision is going to be made for you anime. I don't think AJ Brown plays with the Eagles having a bye week next week.
Yeah, that's pretty much right where I said I don't expect him to play.
If Cam plays, would you start him over Dobbs? I would not, assuming that Jordan Love is back.
Yeah.
Guy Randy, should I trade Chuba for Steele and Ladd?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, Jonathan Brooks is going to be back here the next couple of weeks, and once that happens, I think it starts to change the upside for Chuba a little bit. So yeah, I think you can do that.
If Dobbs plays, would you start Love over Fields?
I would probably stick.
I would go
For
Fields
this week.
Pink King, you guys play DFS? I'm more of a dabbler, but you're obviously new to the channel. Kevin does a DFS show every Thursday, actually. So Kevin's joined by Ryan and our guy Maddie, and they go through the DraftKings DFS main slate every Thursday night. So make sure you hit that subscribe, Bink, and tune back in tomorrow because the guys will be going over DFS. And also, I don't think we've talked about this once, but in the Discord channel, we also have a DFS channel that's where like I'm a little more active. I don't jump on the DFS show just because like I'm still figuring it all out. But yeah, there's plenty of DFS talk going around here as well. So would love to have you. Absolutely free, no strings attached for the Discord. So anyone who is wanting to do that can absolutely do so. Two hype cats, evening gentlemen, evening two hype. Lockett or Hopkins? Hopkins is still running like 60% of the routes. So I think I would probably just go Lockett here and not like if he didn't have the week he had last week, I don't think you'd like even really be questioning what to do here. And I don't think I
Yeah,
want to chase that.
yeah. His route participation is really low still for DeAndre Hopkins. I think I probably agree and go Tyler Lockett.
Conklin or Likely?
Likely.
Double C's. Anyone else having to deal with Kittle, Mixon, and AJ Brown being hurt?
I don't have to deal with Mixon or Kittle, but I do own AJ Brown, and I also have Kenneth Walker, so that's been great. It really is the worst when it comes to AJ Brown because his was like out of nowhere. It wasn't a game where he got hurt in. It was just all of a sudden you're hanging out on Friday night, you're enjoying it. You're getting ready to, or Friday, you're probably at work, like, all right, it's fuck off Friday. We're gonna get out of here, go watch football this weekend, and all of a sudden you get the notification that AJ Brown left practice with a hamstring injury. And ever since then, it's been absolutely radio fucking silence when it comes to AJ Brown. And so, yeah, it's been that one was super frustrating. And I also have Kenneth Walker as well, who just 2 years in a row gets the same, abdominal injury. So that's great. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been super frustrating.
I have a dynasty team with CMC, Puka, and Marquise Brown. So that's probably
It could always be worse. Let's just remember that. You could be somebody who drafted Christian McCaffrey first overall.
I took him second overall in my work redraft. Someone took Bijan at 1. I was sitting there at 2, and I was like, I have to, right? Like I don't really want to, but I have.
I think if we would have known
If I would have known there was an Achilles issue part of this, wouldn't have done that. What's crazy is like the guy was at 1, and I was assuming he was going CMC. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna fuck it. I'm just gonna go CD Lamb here. So I wasn't planning. I wasn't even planning for CMC to be part of that. Still would have been wrong because the answer probably should have been Brees, but neither here nor there. All right, got that one. One more sleep till game day. Absolutely. Ashton pick 2 if Devonta doesn't play. Waddle, Dobbs, Shaheed, JSN.
I don't think Devonta plays. So
No.
kind of the same thing. I mean, you got a bye week next week. There's no reason to have him out there. But I would go Shaheed and JSN.
Yep. Jay Slay for my flex, Ford, Waddle, or Braylon. If Ford plays, I'm going Ford. If not, I'm going Allen.
I would go Ford, but if Ford doesn't play out, then I would go Jalen Waddle.
Appreciate the help. Y'all are awesome. Appreciate you rocking with us. Bullseye Truffle season. Pick 2 to start, double flex PPR, Deontay, T, Tyreek, Singletary, and Flowers.
Deontay for sure.
And Zay for me.
Yes, agreed.
Double C's need some help. 1 and 2 got Derek Carr, Mixon, Henry, Nico, AJ Brown, Kittle, Terry, TJ Hawk, Chubb on IR. Any advice would be appreciated.
You probably drafted too many players that are hurt. For one, TJ Hawk, and I'm not talking about like AJ Brown getting hurt or Kittle. Like that you
Ah,
yeah, that's not I'm simply talking about with having Chubb and TJ Hawkinson. Obviously, I mean, I don't know how many IR spots you have. I assume hopefully you have at least two, but that's it didn't help you. That's where it becomes a problem when you draft guys like Hawkinson and Chubb, knowing that they were going to start the year on IR. That then any other injuries that come along coincide. It really kind of messes up your bench because you're forced to keep an age. Obviously, you're not dropping AJ Brown. We're not dropping George Kittle, and nor are you dropping. Probably you drafted TJ Hawkinson for a reason. You drafted Nick Chubb, stuff like that. But that's where it becomes a problem. Is that your bench becomes over with the players you have now. Derek Carr was great the first 2 weeks, not great last week, and um, but and then obviously Joe Mixon got hurt. I mean, obviously some of this is just bad luck. I mean, Joe Mixon missing last week, AJ
yeah.
Brown, we just talked about Kittle. It's a lot of stuff you couldn't do anything about it. Um, Nico Collins has been a stud, but I think he'll be fine after week 6, once AJ Brown will be back. I fully expect him to be back by then. Uh, but and it was a good sign for Terry McLaurin on Monday night to finally hit. The tough part here would be like, what do you do? Because like I feel like in making any certain move, like okay, like because your best assets are Nico Collins and AJ Brown, right? But trading one of them doesn't really help you. It's just only I don't know how much that really helps, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I would also did they say they? I would also want to know like what the bench is. Like what does your bench look like too? What does the whole team look like?
Yeah, I think you're probably just riding this one out.
I do because I do think somebody like Derek Carr, for example, like you can drop him. Like you don't need to play Derek Carr. Like Derek Carr, like I know is great the first 2 weeks, but I would probably just be streaming quarterback if I can, if that's an option. Um, Running back, it does sound like there's a better chance that Joe Mixon will be back this week, so that's a positive. Derrick Henry, Nico Collins obviously is playing this week. Kittle should be back this week, so that's a plus. And then with TJ Hawkinson, the thing is with having Hawkinson is I guess the best thing you could say with him would just be using him as trade bait, right? Because uh I mean I don't want to have TJ Hawkinson and George Kittle on my team.
Yeah. I think this team will end up being fine down the road. There's certainly going to be other injuries that happen for other teams too. So like I think at 1 and 2, like you're fine. I wouldn't be panicking making any drastic
Yeah,
moves.
you just been really unlucky with injuries, but at least fortunately for you, a lot of them of the players that you have starting that that aren't you originally drafted that were hurt, that at the very least, most of them are very short term injuries.
Then on the bench, real quick, Carlos, appreciate the super chat. But we have Tolbert, Cam Akers, Brian Thomas, Brenton Strange, Emmanuel Wilson, Sam Darnold on the bench.
And that's for the previous one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you have a ton of tight ends. I mean, that's 3. I mean, I know Hawkinson's not back yet, but I think as long as Kittle's back, you can drop him. Like I'm trying to add as much like upside as I can. Like it's kind of what I said. I think better days are coming for Brian Thomas. Like it's just this offense has just been so bad, and it could be a very matter of time that Doug Peterson gets fired. I think if they go out and get embarrassed again like they did last week, he's probably cooked. Like they're probably going to fire him right after that. Because I know what Shad Khan, whatever, I guess came out. I guess it was a report afterwards that he was furious after that game, which I would be too. They just were absolutely embarrassed. Um, I don't know what's going on with Doug Peterson. Like he just does not look like the schemes stuff that they've done hasn't been great. I know the offensive coordinator has been the same too. So I don't know. They need to change something because this
Yeah.
offense should be way better than what it is. But uh, Emmanuel Wilson like that. He does have Sam Darnold. Okay, that was the other option I was going to say. Because actually, I mean, just for this week, I don't know if that's your starting lineup, the one you posted here, but I would play Sam. I would play Sam Darnold over Derek Carr this week. Just me personally. I guess in
Yeah.
your situation, because of the quarterbacks you have, I don't mind having 2 quarterbacks there. Looks like you have a deep enough bench. And then as soon as if Joe Mixon is back, you can probably drop Cam Akers. And like I said, look for guys like Roshan Johnson. I mean, I highly doubt Braylon Allen at this point's available, but stuff like that.
Then the super chat here from Carlos, appreciate you. Would y'all trade Moss for White or DK for Hill? I don't think I would do either, to be honest.
I don't want to trade Zach Moss for Rashad White.
Yeah, DK for Hill is the one that's clearly more debatable. Moss for White, I definitely would not. And DK for Hill kind of depends whether or not you can weather the storm until Tua gets back, or you have to kind of cross your fingers and pray that Huntley can be league average.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Appreciate you, Carlos.
Shelton for my flex this week: Khalil Shakir or Jameson Williams. It's gonna be Jameson Williams for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ashton start 2 to PPR. Waddle, Myers, Leggett, Watson, Naylor, Downs.
Waddle and Christian Watson.
Julian, you guys think McBride or Devontae Smith play this week? I do not.
I think there's a better shot for McBride, but I don't think Devonta Smith plays.
Yeah.
But I honestly, last year, especially early in the season, I remember there was for a while, it was like almost nobody played after they got a concussion the next week. It was always, a 2-week thing. And then all of a sudden, as the year got by and like playoffs were like really on the line, all of a sudden everybody was back the next week. Like it was like, so I just think teams are being much more cautious early in the year. And then it's later in the season, all of a sudden their doctors are just like turning a blind eye and like, oh no, he's good now. All of a sudden, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Wright does miss, but I don't think Devonta Smith, just because of their bye week next week. I don't think it happens, but we'll see.
Virgin Steve, would you trade away Taylor for Harris and Evans?
No.
I think if you need the wide receiver help, I would. It's because I'm afraid Taylor's going to be like up and down all year. They gave the guy 12 carries 2 weeks ago, and he rushed for over 100 yards. It just did not make sense, and then played no snaps in the fourth quarter. So if you need the wide receiver help, I would. Truth, you keeping Jason Ford over Jennings. Picked up Jennings because Smith could be out. I have Rice wide receiver 1, Jason Williams, Wilson, but he plays Denver and Surtain.
I would play Jennings over Ford.
Yeah. There is the Discord link if anybody would like to join. Like I said, completely free, no paywall, no strings attached, anything like that. Appreciate you for dropping that in. Ashton, the Smitty, London, and Ramondre for Bijan and Pittman.
Yes, I would do that.
Yeah, I would do that. Chip, is it worth stashing CEH and Roshan? I'm with the Roshan stash. Kev, is there any rumblings or anything on CEH?
I think the only rumblings we had was Mike Tirico on Sunday Night Football said that they had talked to the Chiefs and they said that they think that CEH could be back in a week or two. Even if he does, you're talking about a team that now would have 4 possible running backs. Now, I still think that you're going to see, I would guess that like P. Ryan or Kareem Hunt gets cut. I can't imagine they're going to have 4 running backs on the roster. They could, but it would make a lot of sense. So I think one of them could get cut, but um, I would definitely want to stash Roshan.
Harrison, I'm trading away Singletary and Diggs for Amon-Ra. Is that good value?
Yes.
That's crush it. Good for you. Eric, good evening, fellas. Good evening to you. Which side wins the trade? Ramondre Adams likely or Kelsey Pollard and K9? I lean the Kelsey side.
I think so. I think I agree with you.
Big ZD League Mate just offered me Eckler for Braylon Allen. I want to keep, assuming this is just like a bench swap. I want Braylon Allen. And it also worries me the fact that Eckler has already been ruled out with that concussion. Like, could this end up turning into like a multi-week absence? So that's still up in the air. I want to keep Allen.
Yeah, I agree.
Ferg or Goddard this week is going to be Goddard for me.
Ferguson for me.
Do I flex Cooper, Pollard, or Jawan Jennings in a full PPR? That's Amari for me.
Yeah.
Truth. Also, you guys trading McCaffrey to get another solid RB. I have Kamara, Singletary, Zamir, Charbonnet as my RBs.
I mean, sure, but
like I'm only doing that for like Bijan and Brees. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, but that's not going to happen. I mean, they're not. No one's
right
doing that. So like, let's say realistically, let's say he's out for another 4 weeks, right? So that puts him back week 8, something like that, week 9, somewhere right around there. That's assuming that the everything works out, it goes the way it's supposed to, right? Um, I don't know, like, I think with the running backs you have, like, obviously, Zamir White is almost cooked. Charbonnet is only as valuable. Like, he's gonna have independent value. He'll have because he's still going to get touched, even like he's still going to be playing whenever Kenneth Walker returns. Like, it's not like one of those situations where it's all Kenneth Walker. So he is a nice piece. And then Singletary's actually played pretty well. He's like a top 20 running back. And then you have Kamara, who's been really good. So, like, it would really just depend on what that you could get. Like, you could send out offers and try to see what, or put out there that, hey, Christian McCaffrey's on the block, offer me, like, see if anybody gives you something that's worthwhile. But I think that if it's tough, because if Christian McCaffrey does come back and this all works out and he's back a week 8, week 9, the rest of season he's a league winning running back. That if you trade him away, but at the same time you have to make it there to be able to get it there. So, like, I think the running backs you have are fine. Like, I'm not like panicking if I have these running backs, but if you can get something for them that makes sense, then I would do it, because you're not getting like the elite running back. Nobody's doing that, knowing that he's not going to be out for so much longer. But I'm also not doing it for like like a Jordan Mason. I know it's backup, whatever, but like it's tough though. Like, if you could get like a Jameer Gibbs or Devon Achan,
right
um, or maybe you have to put something else in, or you trade for a uh buy low on like a Travis Etienne, which I don't love, but Brian Robinson plus another piece, guys like that, like, I'm okay with it to try to win now to secure yourself to be able to actually make the playoffs versus worrying about whenever he does come back. So it's just tough, because I mean, if you're talking 6 weeks now, I mean, it's week 10, week 11, week 12 by the time he's even coming back, and at that point, you don't know what your team looks like. So I think it just depends on what you can get. I'm not running out like taking anything for him, but like, I think if you get as the right deal coming along, I would be okay.
Tyson, Dynasty Superflex PPR, Caleb Williams, McConkey, Brian Thomas, Blake Corum, a first and a third for Alan Penix and Devontae Adams. Do I do this? I'd be trading away Allen. I can't win this year. 1-2 next. Starting lineup would be Caleb, Kyron, Brooks, Amon-Ra, Marv, BTJ, McBride, Ladd, another flex with JJ McCarthy if I make this deal. This feels a little light for me. Because it's not like you're talking about Josh Allen is a 32-year-old quarterback. Like Josh Allen is still in his prime. So like I get you're trying to load up to be able to start making a run next year. But this is kind of like if I'm looking at just like Josh Allen, we're talking about like if for picks this year, right? Looking at the 101 for Williams. So you would have been trading Josh Allen for the 101. Brian Thomas was like a late first. McConkey was in that like late one discussion. Corum was a second. It's like I don't know if that would have moved the needle for me to trade away Allen. I mean, obviously next year you would have a really nice looking lineup. But just that to me just feels a little light, I think. Like I said, we're not talking about a quarterback who's not in his prime. Like Allen is still that guy. But if you like the way that lineup looks for next season, then go for it. But I think then you're adding in like Penix and Devontae Adams into the mix as well. So think I would hold off and try and get a little bit more. Julian traded CJ Stroud and Garrett Wilson for Mahomes. Took an L in this, huh? It appears to be that way.
Yeah, like you should have definitely gotten something else in return for this. I mean, Stroud is, going to be a top 8, top 9 quarterback this year. But Garrett Wilson, like I said, is going to probably continue to struggle or at least I don't want to say struggle, but not like he's not going to be putting up the numbers I think a lot of people thought, at least for the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. So, he could here and there, but once you get past it, like I said, but Mahomes also and their offense haven't been great, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you should have gotten more for that.
There we go. So money in Dynasty PPR Superflex tight end premium, would you trade Hawk for Higgins? Assuming this is just like a 0.5 premium and it's like nothing crazier. I would. I would take Higgins on that side of the trade. Unless this is like a hefty premium. Then also to me it kind of depends on what else you have at tight end. But in a vacuum, I would. Anime thoughts on my own 3-team: Burrow, Kyron, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek, Nico, Goddard, Olave, bench, Higgins, Ramondre, B Rob, Kirk, D Hop, and Shaheed. That's not an 0-3 team.
Yeah, this is a team like before the season started, you're probably like really hyped about because I would have been like, this is a really solid team.
Hell yeah.
You're like, hell yeah, I'm going to dominate this year, boys. And then, 0-3. But this is definitely not an 0-3 team.
No.
I think you should be okay. I mean, obviously the Tyreek Hill stuff has really hurt. Like I've said, hopefully Tyler Huntley can be a functional NFL quarterback at least, because that's all you really need with Tyreek Hill. Something to be able to get the ball to him on somewhat of a consistent basis. So I think that this move should help him. But this is a really solid team. I mean, I know Olave struggled for the first couple of weeks. Burrow's had his struggles, but looked phenomenal on Sunday night or Monday night. Kyron's been really good. Josh Jacobs is not, but yeah, I this is a really good team. Bench is really good.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson's been really solid. This is Shaheed has been awesome. So yeah, this is a really good team.
Rest of season thoughts on Cooper. I think it's going to be somewhere in between what he did last week and the first 2 weeks. Like Deshaun Watson, I'm off that. I think he is what he is. I don't think it's going to get much better. But as long as Cooper isn't dropping passes every week, I think it's going to be somewhere in between.
It's been so weird with the Deshaun Watson thing. Like, it's just like to go from as good as he was to what he is now, like, is just wild. And I think it's all like confidence. That's it. He just has none, which with everything that's happened to him, I shouldn't say happened to him. Like that makes it sound like that, like something bad happened to him. Like everything that he did, and everything else, like it just he's not the same guy anymore. And so he has zero confidence. He looks terrible. He doesn't look like he should be playing quarterback at all. For this team, and Jameson Winston is sitting there. I would be surprised if at some point they shift and if he continues to struggle as much as he has and go to Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
But as far as Cooper is concerned, yeah, I think he's like a low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3.
Another one here from America. We starting Darnold over AR5.
I would.
Andrew, would you trade Debo, Ingram, Swift for Thomas Pacheco, Ferg?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. Truth is the time to drop Zamir, waiver players to Chase Brown, Moser, Javonte Spears, still Brandon Allen Warren.
Yep, you 100%. Fire that motherfucker into the sun. Like with this players are sitting out there, absolutely, yeah, you can drop them. And honestly, I think if I had to like choose like between this group, I probably would pick up Mostert just because he sounds like he's close to returning, but I don't love it either, just with the way the offense is, I guess. But like, it would be Mostert or Steele for me, I think, of all the options that are sitting out here.
Yeah, and I think also it depends. Is this like, are you just like stashing someone on the bench? Because if it's just a pure stash, I think you can make a case for Allen and Chase Brown as well. But
for sure.
But basically anybody on this list except Javonte Williams is the answer.
Yeah, just remind myself next year to be done with buying into Javonte Williams. I was hoping all the offseason, and maybe it's not even him. Maybe it's Sean Payton. It's just a terrible head coach, and just not putting his players into the right spots. I don't know, but whatever it is,
it's not working.
doing it. Yeah.
How much longer until we pull the plug on Mark Andrews?
A week or two. A few more weeks.
Yeah, it's as sad as that is. William, start my flex, JSN, Higgins, or Terry. That's going to be Terry for me.
Yeah, I'll go Terry too.
Vids, Ayuk and Jennings at home against the Pats. Ayuk hasn't looked great. Jennings went boom last week. If Kittle doesn't play, do y'all think Ayuk and Jennings can do what DKJSN did in week 2 versus New England? It's certainly a possibility. The only thing is, are the Pats going to be able to push back the way they did with Seattle in week 2?
Yeah, because the Patriots looked dreadful last week.
Not the same as week 2.
Yeah.
So that's really what that comes. If they get pushed at all, sure. But if it's a game like last week, probably not. Will it do? Whisker do's, whisker don'ts. 12-team PPR QB is field. Should I trade Rashad Bucky for JD 5? Other RBs are Hall, Mason, Jones, Steele, Allen, and Algier.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, like what made Jaden Daniels like just heading this year was his rushing upside, which still is 100% there. Um, but if he can start to, and obviously not be that good. I mean, that was phenomenal the performance he put on throwing the ball. But even if he can be, 80% of that rest of season, Jaden Daniels is the top 5 quarterback rest of season, if not higher.
Yeah. If you do that, you're immediately flipping Fields or just dropping him. Super Dave, 12 team PPR, need a second flex. JMO or Dunzi. This is going to be JMO for both of us. Speaking of a Dunzi, this one for not good at fantasy, a Dunzi plus Sharb for Cooper in a 10-man.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I still probably would want the Dunze and Charbonnet side, but that's also I'm just more of the belief that, like I said, like Keenan Allen's 32, he's been dealing with this injury all year. I don't think it gets much better. And like I just said, like I just think Dunze is really good. But I will say this: the only thing that worries the hell out of me more than anything, and the thing that I hope happens, but it's probably not going to happen, is at least until later, is Shane Waldron is a terrible coach, and we've seen it now with when he was with Seattle, and then all the stuff that JSN kind of hinted at, once he left, and then now here, it's just kind of been the same. So that's something that frustrates me was investing in any of the Bears pass catchers, but I still really like Odunze, and then Charbonnet I just think is going to be fine. Cooper really worries me just because he's dealing with Sean Watson.
Oops. Real Savage over on Twitch. Trade away Bowers and Irving, receive Kelsey and Waddle. I went the Kelsey and Waddle side.
Yeah, man, that's so tough though. Just because Brock Bowers looked phenomenal. Um, but I think if the Dolphins passing game can get better, then yes, it's Kelsey and Waddle. It just worries me.
Just want to drop down to this one quick since we were just on this trade before we got too far and had to scroll back up. If you're talking about just giving away Rachaad White for JD5, you're not getting that done. So unless you're saying like maybe like give something else up, but if you're talking about just Rachaad White for Jaden Daniels, that's not getting it done.
Yeah, and I'm assuming if the person wants that move, they want Bucky Irving to be able to like as that like insurance piece for themselves.
F Yang, Cup, Nakua, McCaffrey, who am I dropping by weeks coming? Golly.
What do we have to drop one of them? Like, is that like requirement?
Yeah, is there anybody else?
That or try to trade one of them.
I mean, I'm definitely dropping one of the tight ends before I drop Cup, Puka, McCaffrey. So, like, hopefully you aren't getting, like, double and tripled up on bye weeks and that this would solve the problem. Because then I'd be dropping Gesicki. But, yeah, I think I would try and trade one. Or I would just drop my defense and play without it as long as that doesn't give you an automatic L or, something along those lines. Definitely don't want to drop any of those three and is there no IR spot? Those are the things I'd be looking at. Deontay Johnson or London in the flex.
I'm going to go with London.
London by a smidge, but I love Deontay this week. Viz, subscribed and liked. Appreciate you if you're rocking with us for the first time or if you've been here for a while and you haven't done it yet. please hit us with that like and that sub. We really do appreciate it. Jose coming back for another one. Would you trade Zay Flowers for Mixon?
I mean, yeah, I think I would. If you really
Probably.
need a running back, yeah, I would.
Yeah. If Warren is out, is it crazy to start Najee over Achane?
Yes.
Yeah, don't think I could do that, Joe. Do you have no way else to get Najee into your lineup? Matt, in a 1QB PPR, I have Richardson. Am I starting him over a Geno, Daniels, or Darnold, who are on my waivers? No, I'm picking up Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think so. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jane Daniels, I don't think it's going away.
Me either. Anime, I thought Daniel Jones was dog shit. Did he suddenly become good, or is it just neighbors? It's neighbors.
I mean,
I think having somebody like neighbors is going to help for sure. But I don't think Daniels is. I don't think Daniels is good.
I think Daniel Jones very much fits the mold as a lot of other quarterbacks. Like, he's not a great quarterback by any means, but he's not as bad, I also think, as what some years he's shown, because he's never had any weapons. It was kind of my argument that I made whenever over the preseason and, like in July and August, that I talked about with Malik Neighbors, why I was so fine, like why I was so much higher on than everybody else. That that so the way I look at it is that, like, he's never had anybody. So, like, he's always had, like, really, really, really bad wide receivers and just weapons around him. And so, like, I mean, Darius Slayton was his number one wide receiver for a lot of years. And so, like, getting Malik Neighbors is obviously going to help. So obviously it is Malik Neighbors, but I also think just getting him around actual NFL talent, actual NFL caliber, stud wide receiver is going to help him. And because he's not the type of guy like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, like we're seeing this year, where they can elevate everybody else around them. That's never going to happen. He needs those other players to insulate him to make him a better player. Like, I don't think Daniel Jones is trash. Like people will try to say that he is. Is he like a great quarterback? Is he like going to lead you, to a Super Bowl? Nah, absolutely not. It'd have to be like just an absolute perfect scenario for something like that to ever happen. It's not going to happen. And so, but like, is he bad? No. But I will say for fantasy though, like because that his ability to run the football and him running does, like, and we've seen it like a couple years ago. He was a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football, and now you give him somebody like Malik Neighbors. And again, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is like a great quarterback, but I think it's more. I think he fits in the bucket of like the Derek Carrs and guys like that who they need that talent around him to be able to make him succeed. Because without it, like he's not good.
So real quick, going back to this is Daniel Jones, not Jaden Daniels.
Oh, well, the Daniels, the S on the end made me think. I'm like, if that's Jaden Daniels, I mean, I'm dropping all my fab for him. But
I mean, I would still go Geno or Darnold over.
I would go Darnold. Yeah.
Can I drop likely for Komet? Have Ingram as my tight end. Sounds like he's going to be out again.
I don't know, honestly. Like, it's like I know Komet's coming off a really big game, but like previously he hadn't done a lot.
I mean, it also helps that Caleb dropped back 52 times.
Yeah.
I'd probably hold likely. Would you trade JMO for Jacobs? Main RBs are Achane and Singletary. Start 3 wide receivers and 2 flex. Also has Lamb, Rice Neighbors, Marv, and AR5 a QB. Looks like we have Spears and handcuffs and Leggett and Conklin sitting around as well. I wouldn't do it for Jacobs, but I don't mind making the move considering your other options.
Well, I mean, I think the question though becomes then like who? Like if you didn't do it for Jameson Williams, who are you trading? Because you're not doing
I
it for
I just mean like making like trading wide receiver for not necessarily a different one for Jacobs, just a different running back.
Yeah, the only tough part with Jameson Williams though is just like I think he's going to be boom or bust. I think it's going to kind of be his profile. I think with Sam Laporta, if he misses, it's obviously going to help. But like with Sam Laporta is there, I think this is kind of what you're going to see. Like we've now after week one, Almond St. Brown has went back to being just the ultimate target hog, and where I think James Williams will fit it, will mix in, and he'll have his weeks, right? But he's probably not going to be a player that you're just going to be plug and play or you start him and you sit him and like you're never worried about it. And I think looking at who he has, like the wide receivers, I mean, those 4 wide receivers are phenomenal. Like chef's
Yeah.
kiss on you being able to draft all those players, and like that is phenomenal with how well they played. And so like you definitely need another running back. And I don't hate like James Williams for Jacobs. Like I'm not a big Jacobs guy. I've kind of said it, but I feel like that he at least provides something that you don't really have. Because he's a better value that, or he's a better option than Singletary. And I like Singletary. I think Singletary is a great flex option, low end RB2, where Jacobs should still probably hover around like a high end RB2, something like that. And getting rid of Jameson Williams isn't really going to hurt you. Because like who are the other options that you would be able to trade Jameson Williams for? And I don't know if a lot of people would be willing because to give up Jameson or give up like a starting caliber running back for Jameson Williams.
Makes sense. Would Ertz or Gasecki move the needle for you over Komet to drop likely?
I mean, if you want to do it for this week, I would say like it's Gasicki, right? Because like that's gonna be the frustrating thing with Likely is he's not gonna be a consistent guy that you can just again plug in there. But there's not many tight ends that are, so there definitely is that upside there that with Likely, but like I think just for this week we're talking like I think I would rather play Gasicki, but
I would go Ertz, but I get it. Alex, wondering who to start week 4, full PPR, Chuba, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard. That's going to be Zach Moss for me.
yes.
Viz picked up Jennings off waiver save, feeling guilty about not taking Shakir. I have JMO, St. Brown, Smitty really all on by week 5. Jennings versus AZ or Shakir versus Houston. Ayuk is my other starter, I guess. I wouldn't want to double down, so I would go Shakir. I like Shakir this week.
Yeah, and I feel like there's probably a better chance that next because this is for obviously next week for week 5, and I think there's a better chance that Debo is back, and if Debo is back, then Juwan Jennings goes back to being nothing, or I should say nothing, but somebody you're not really looking to start.
Yeah.
Where Shakir is, so yeah, it would be Shakir.
Sutton, Higgins, or Tank. Pick one for the flex. If Tank plays, I would go Tank. If not, I'm going Higgins.
I would go Higgins either way.
Hey, just what we do every year. Just what we do. Appreciate you for rocking with us, Viz. Goddard or Laporta. That is going to be Goddard for me.
Yeah.
Richardson, Jones, Dalton. Think I would go Richardson there.
Yeah, I absolutely hate it because it's against Pittsburgh, but I think I would go Richardson.
But I would go Darnold over Richardson.
Yes.
Smitty or Olave in the flex. I don't think Smitty plays anime, so I think that decision is gonna be made for you. If he does play for some reason, I would go Smitty over Olave. Truth need one RB2 and drops Zamir. Got Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker going to be back. I have Singletary, pick up Steele, Braylon Allen, Spears, Dowdle on waivers. For this week, it would be Steele for me. If you're needing to pick up one of these guys and play them, I'm going Carson Steele.
Yeah.
If we're throwing B-Rob in the mix, where do you land on that?
It's still Chris Olave.
I would go Olave over B-Rob. But if Smitty plays, I'm going Smitty over all of them. Joe, if you haven't guessed it by now, we are we're on Darnold over Anthony Richardson just this week. Anime RB2, Ramondre Rashad or Steele. That's Carson Steele for me.
Yep.
Worthy for Ayuk, good trade or no? If you're getting Ayuk, yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Viz, it might sound crazy, but is it really Stroud or Darnold in a PPR? This is Stroud for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, also, I've seen it said Stroud cost me 2 games, but like this is just a great matchup.
Yeah, this is
Jaguars
the
defense.
matchup
We
for
just
all
saw.
matchups.
We all got to witness firsthand. This team is not. I mean, just got absolutely shredded. So, yeah, I think Stroud bounces back in a really solid way.
And it sounds like the Jags could be without Olukon as well, which would be a big blow to that defense. Alex, thank you. Forgot to put choose two. Chuba or Pollard to complement Zach Moss. That's going to be Chuba for me. I do think Pollard bounces back, but that stench is still in my mouth from last week.
Yeah, I would go Chuba.
The Smitty 0-3 started 2 wide receivers, Evansdale, Jennings, JSN, London. That's Evans in London. Never fun whenever you have people hoarding quarterbacks, but at least you have some decent options out there. So I think you'll be all right.
And you're gonna start to see people dropping quarterbacks as bye weeks start to happen next week. So a lot of those players, the people that have been hoarding onto players, are gonna have to start dropping them because they're gonna need the flexibility. Um, so that at least that'll help. I don't ever get it. There's always the common response every single time to people that draft like multiple quarterbacks is like, oh, that's trade bait. I'm like, okay, like it never happens. It never works.
No. Outside of super flex leagues, that never works.
I am not playing Steele over Singletary. I would play Devin Singletary.
How are we feeling about ETM versus Houston this week?
Really bad.
Yeah, not great. Yep. Looks good at running back there. Viz, Adam A, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 need a flex option. If Love plays, do I put Jaden Reed, Shakir, or Pollard? If
Jaden
Love
Reed
plays, yeah.
Jaden Reed's a top 15 wide receiver for me if Jaden Reed plays.
Yeah, said it earlier in the show. I'm not as high as you are on Jaden Reed this week, but I would have him over those other options, assuming Love plays. Singletary would be a good option if Dallas defense doesn't show up again. Yeah, I mean, you obviously don't want to compare Singletary to Derrick Henry, but if they watched that tape from last week and saw that they just could not stop the run, we could see something similar, at least with Singletary getting 15 plus carries.
It's not even just last week. It's all year. They've just been really bad against the running back position. So, yeah, and Devin Singletary's been pretty solid too. It's from a per touch basis, everything else. Yeah, we kind of talked about it in the running back video we did yesterday with Devin Singletary. I like Devin Singletary a lot. Like I feel very much like it very well could happen by the time we get to Sunday that I have Devin Singletary. Well, I guess I shouldn't say by Sunday because he plays tomorrow, but somebody that I may look to move up tomorrow before it locks. and have him as like a top 17, 18 running back because he should be.
I'm assuming this is a trade question, Jared. Yoshi Akers or Braylon? Jared, let us know if this is a trade or if that's start set. I see you're still rocking with us, so let us know. We're gonna jump over to this one. Thoughts on Roschon Johnson? I think he's a really good stash, but I also think we've seen this kind of with him before, where he looks like he's clearly the best back, and then he kind of falls back down to earth, and we have a little bit of a back and forth. But he's definitely a good speculative add and stash because if he can be something on this offense, you're at least looking at like a weekly, like someone who's in the flex consideration at the very least. Okay, so that is a start set in the flex. So Yoshi Akers or Braylon.
If Joe Mixon doesn't play this week, I would go probably Akers. But if Joe Mixon, I do think Joe Mixon probably plays this week. So if he does, then I think I would go Yoshi Boss.
Yeah, I'm with you. Truth, appreciate it, fellas. Keep the good work. You guys always come through for me. It's what we try and do. After your name, try and tell the truth out here. You know what I mean? Adam H, I keep Garrett Wilson. Be patient. Do I trade him away for a Mike Evans or something?
Yeah, I think you'd be patient. And I kind of talked about the beginning. You probably weren't here, but when it comes to Garrett Wilson, the next 4 or 5 weeks are going to hurt because it's not great matchups, and Aaron Rodgers is perfectly okay with not force feeding Garrett Wilson right now. Garrett Wilson did seem to get a little upset during that game, like that he wasn't seeing targets, but their teams are trying to take him away, and they're playing a lot of too high, so it takes away the deep ball for him. And the next 4 or 5 games is really rough. Like there's some really bad matchups for him where he's going to be facing some elite corners. But once you get past that, like it opens up very, very nicely for Garrett Wilson. That doesn't mean that I think Garrett Wilson's not going to do anything for the next 4 or 5 weeks, but it is going to be a little bit tougher. And the other problem is that, like, if you feel that way about Garrett Wilson, other people are going to feel the same way about Garrett Wilson. And so they're not going to want to make that trade. So, like, could you trade him for Mike Evans? Like, you could, but I probably would still rather have uh, um, Garrett Wilson. Like, thing to keep in mind with Mike Evans, but I still think Mike Evans is going to be like a really solid top 20 wide receiver this year. But like a lot of the talk this offseason was that they were going to shift more to like where they're going to be focusing more on the power slot, which is what they've done with Chris Godwin. Like Chris Godwin has been the guy who has, with playing mostly in the slot, has been the beneficiary this year. Where last year was Mike Evans who was seeing all of it, but that was also with Dave Canales at offensive coordinator. Now with the new offensive coordinator Liam Cohen there for the Bucks. Like we're seeing a shift now where the focus is now on hitting Chris Godwin. So like Mike Evans is going to be a little bit more boom or bust as well. And then other than that, like it's going to be tough to make like a pull off a trade. I would rather hold on. I guess what I'm saying for him.
What's good with Pittman? Really considering dropping if I can't trade. I wouldn't drop him. I mean, you just kind of have to wait and, hopefully he has at least a solid game and then try and trade him there. But if someone dropped Pittman in any league I was in, I would scoop him up pretty quick. So just sucks right now that, he's not getting the same target share that he was getting in previous years, but it's going to balance out.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not even his fault. I mean,
whenever Anthony Richardson is completing 9 passes a game, there's not going to be a lot to go around. AT, would you guys trade Jaden Daniels for Josh Jacobs? Standard league, I have Burrow and Chase stack. Daniels.
Nope. I would rather have Jaden Daniels than Joe Burrow. Like I want Jaden Daniels. Like especially in a standard league. Like it doesn't really matter that much. I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know why that doesn't matter at all. But like yes, like I want Jaden Daniels over Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I was not a Daniels guy coming in, but I've seen enough. Chuba or ETN? I'm gonna go Chuba.
Yeah, I think so too.
Allie, we need 2. Jennings, Pickens, Kirk. It's gonna be Pickens and Kirk for me.
Um, and I'm gonna go Pickens and
Golly.
um, I'm gonna go Pickens and Kirk.
Come on. So I just looked this up. Chase was limited with a shoulder, so he'll be good to go.
Yeah, I expect him to play. Yeah. Darnold or Fields rest of season PPR? Is it still wait and see? Fields is trending up, and they're 3-0. Can't picture Wilson getting his job back at this point. Thoughts? No, I don't think he gets his job back. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they just traded Russell Wilson to a team that needs a quarterback. Um, at this point, but it's been weird with Fields because the thing is, it's like the rushing upside hasn't really been there for him
Yeah.
as much. Like last week, I actually think he looked pretty good as a passer last week, but at the same time, the rushing upside hasn't necessarily been there for him, which is I would expect that at some point is going to come. But I don't know. I think rest of season I would still lean Justin Fields because of that rushing upside.
I'm gonna go Darnold rest of the season.
I don't hate it. Like Sam Darnold has looked phenomenal. The only thing I will say is we have seen Sam Darnold look awesome before. Like I remember, like with Carolina, like it was at least 2 or 3 years ago that I remember that Sam Darnold looked really good for like the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the season and fell off a cliff. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen with him this year, but I also don't think he's going to continue on this pace.
Yeah. Reed or Terry the flex this week. As long as Love is in, that's gonna be Jaden Reed for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Do I start Rashad White this week? Other options are Javante, Bucky, or Rico.
You are starting Rashad White. I would play him over those guys.
I would go Rico over Rashad White.
The thing with Rashad White, as long as it's a PPR option, like he's still being utilized heavily in the passing game. So he's seeing almost a 20% target share. So as long as it's PPR format, I'm still okay with using him there, as that option.
JJ, league mate sent me Laporta, Hill, and Gibbs for Bijan and Pittman. What do you think?
Assuming that's Tyreek Hill.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would have to take that for sure. Like I get the like, but Gibbs to Bijan isn't like a significant gap, right? Like there's a gap, but it's not like the significant one. So if you're getting Gibbs, like and Pittman, I don't really care. And then Tyreek Hill, is still Tyreek Hill. So I would absolutely do that.
I went the Laporta side just to be clear.
Yeah. Yes.
For start, Steele and Najee this week, and not like the KC matchup for Dobbins.
Agreed. I do not
Yeah,
like to.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Cowboys defense drop Raiders this week.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I would take the Cowboys over the Raiders this week.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
So Tam will be shadowing Wilson Sunday. Y'all think Conklin can be a sneaky start? I don't know if McBride plays this week. I would assume McBride doesn't.
Yeah, I would just guess with like early season, like how it was last year. If it's kind of the same trend, it's probably he doesn't play. I mean, I don't mind Conklin. We kind of saw Aaron Rodgers really look for him with everything that was going on there. So like I think he could be a sneaky start. Like I think that uh, I don't know if I totally expect what he did last week because that was a really solid outing. I think he had like 6 for 90 or something like that, 7 for 90, somewhere right around there last week. 5 for 93. Yeah, I knew it was right around there. But also keep in mind, though, previous to that, he saw 2 targets a game and had 1 fantasy point in each of those 2 weeks.
Yeah, seven catches through the first 3 weeks, and 5 came in week 3. Steele, Mason, Ramondre Johnson start 2. That's going to be the first 2 for both of us. Matt, am I crazy to offer Ayuk, Stevenson, and Hubbard for Bijan and Jaden Daniels? His team is 0-3. He's holding Daniels, Carr, and Love. Should I offer more? Also have Lamb, AJ, and London.
You're not crazy to offer it. I mean, you can offer it. Like I would love that if I could get Bijan and Jane Daniels. Do I think what you're offering is enough? Probably not, but you never know. I mean, it's hard to really say. Like I think to me, it's always worth a shot. You see what happens, offer it, and see if they'll accept it. If not, then you can try to negotiate from there.
Yeah. Allie, McLaurin, Worthy, Jameson, Williams. Who are we sitting here, Kev?
Like Xavier Worthy.
K Dub or Zach Moss?
I don't think Walker plays this week, so I would go Zach Moss.
Yeah. Would you draw Flowers or McLaurin for Odunzi? I would not.
No, I wouldn't.
Should I sell Achane? Getting word on how bad the Dolphins QB situation is. Now is not the time to tell him after the game he just had. And I think he's going to end up being okay. So I would nod at him. Kincaid or Ferg?
Yeah, this is going to be Ferguson for me.
I'm going Ferg there as well. DJ Moore or ETN this week. It's going to be DJ Moore for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
Matt, it is kind of that is a pretty one-sided offer, right? Like Stevenson, and especially when Jane Daniels coming off the game he just came off of, looking absolutely phenomenal, right? Like, so it is a much tougher thing. I mean, Ayuk hasn't played well. Stevenson played well, a few weeks ago, but really fell off, especially last week, scoring what was like 1.8, and then Hubbard obviously had a good week last week. But it's still Chuba Hubbard. And then you're talking about Bijan Robinson, which is probably his first round pick, and then Jane Daniels being awesome. So, like, that's why I was saying, like, hey, if you can get him to do it, I'm all for it. But, like, I don't think that's probably nearly enough to get that done. I mean, if you're just looking to get a quarterback and you want Jane Daniels, I would remove Bijan from it because now am I going to give up Ayuk, Stevenson, Hubbard for Jane Daniels? No. But I think you can probably have a better shot, or maybe even try to trade for Jordan Love. That's what you're looking for as a quarterback, who I think Jordan Love rest of season is still going to be a really solid quarterback. And so maybe that's another avenue you can look to take as well.
Viz, you guys are awesome. Thanks for your takes. First time on the stream. Appreciate you rocking with us, Viz, and welcome. We do this every Wednesday. If you're in a DFS, Kev will be going live tomorrow night for that. And then we also have a Sunday morning show as well. Starts at 11 or 11:30 going through start sits again. So appreciate you rocking with us. Glad you found us. Joe, Desperate League Mate has Kelsey and Laporta. Would it be worth it for me to offer Ferguson for Kelsey, or is he washed? I also have Taysom Hill.
No, you don't need it. I mean, you can drop Taysom Hill, honestly, if you have Ferguson. I would just rather hold on to Ferguson.
Yeah. Stevie Dewey, Dobbins or Ayuk in the flex. That is Ayuk for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Last one here, going to get out on this one. Need to bench one of these guys. Not sure who. Godwin, Metcalf, Cook, RBs are Kyron and Gibbs. Wide receiver 1 is JJ.
I probably sit James Cook. Don't love it, but I would much rather play Godwin and Metcalf.
Yeah. What a nice problem for you to have there. Well, that is going to do it. Caught up on all the questions. Another almost 3-hour stream in the books. Like I said, we'll be going live on Sunday morning to answer more questions. You can also just always drop them in one of the YouTube video comments, or you can join our Discord for absolutely free. Appreciate all of you for rocking with us. One more here from Viz. Y'all cool with
All I was
Braylon
going to say
Allen
is really
Mike?
quickly on this is wait and ask us next week because like there's so many things that could change, so many things that could happen. Like it's hard for me to look ahead and talk about week 6. You know what I mean? So like injuries could happen, all the sorts of situations could happen. I mean, if you have no other choice but to start Braylon Allen, then sure. But he's also still somebody that only handles like 8 to 10 touches a game right now. So that's what I would say. Would you
Yeah.
trust Monty this week? Yeah, I think it's fine.
And Brian, the Discord should be in the link to the video. If not, just go look at one of the other videos, like the wide receiver, the running back video we dropped today, and the link will be in there. So appreciate all of you. Please hit us with a like and a sub. Like I said, Sunday morning, another live stream, Discord, YouTube channel. You can drop your questions all in there as well. Thank you all. Have a good night and good luck in week 4.